Okay, so I'm here with my camera that can track me, which I think is the coolest thing in the world. Honestly, I really love it a lot, but also I think it just lost me. Oh man. Oh shoot. Wait, camera. Yeah, it's me. You see me now? Okay, cool. How's it going? How are you today? You doing well? Good. You good? You good? Okay. I do actually care. When people ask, how are you okay? They don't actually care when they ask you that question. Like 99% don't. Be the 1% that actually cares how people are doing when you ask them that question. Me, I'm not a small talk person. Small talk always really bothered me. It always really just felt soulless. I'm like the kind of person that immediately wants to go deep when I meet people, and I feel like that unsettles a lot of people, but the right people turns them on. Not in a sexual way. I mean, just like, anyways. So I think I'm going to talk to you guys about my spiritual awakening journey and how I got to where I am today, which is I'm just a person, but I think my story might be able to help other people. Let's start from the beginning. And what I will say also is that my purpose in telling you guys this, it's not to do anything other than to hopefully help people who might be experiencing something similar and knowing that they actually are not alone. I've been through it. A ton of other people have been through it. We gonna get through it together. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So the beginning, when I was a child, when I was a young warthog, I was raised in a very Christian, fairly conservative household growing up. My family ran a church. I was the kid that spent nearly every single day in church, like every single day of the week, because I have Sunday school and we'd have other obligations and yada, 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 bing, boom, bada, Bible study, all that stuff. And I was a pretty good, Christian child. But what I will say is that I was that kid that kind of asked too many questions, because I've always been a very inquisitive, curious child. And so, there were certain aspects about what I was being taught that kind of confused me. Like, if Adam and Eve were the first man and woman, and then they had 2 sons, where did the rest of the world come from? Stuff like that, that kind of just unsettled me a little bit. And that was loud. I hope you guys didn't hear that. And if you did, it's not my fault. I didn't make the noise. And so after that, what was I saying? Jesus Christ, I lost my train of thought. I be talking, I be ranting, and then I just be forgetting what I was saying. So yeah, Christian, Adam and Eve, that's what I was talking about. So yeah, I used to ask questions or whatever, and sometimes the elders would think I was a little bit disrespectful. I wasn't. I was just curious. I was legitimately just trying to understand why we didn't talk about the book at the end of the Bible that basically says the whole world's gonna burn. Why don't we talk about that more? That's really disturbing. Anyways, and so there was this one show back in the early 2000s called 1,000 Ways to Die, and it used to come on kind of late on this, I think it was on Spike Channel or something like that. And I used to watch that show with my cousin. Basically, it was literally what it was called. It was 1,000 Ways to Die. And when I watched that show, I was about 13 years old. I'll never forget that show is kind of what triggered me into really realizing just how fickle life is, and the fact of my own mortality kind of dawned on me because of that show. And so from that point on, I kind of developed a phobia. At the age of 13, I sort of developed a phobia of death and of dying. And I grew obsessed with thinking about and contemplating my own death, when I would die, how I would die. Oh no, everyone I've ever met and loved is going to die someday. Oh shit, what comes after death? And obviously, being raised as a Christian, I was taught that heaven and hell were things, and that if I didn't, submit to Christ, then my soul would burn in hell in eternity. But at the age of 13, it's almost as though I kind of just fell out of that camp of belief and started to really question if there was anything after. How did we know? And so I essentially became agnostic at the age of 13 because I didn't know how anyone could really truly know. And to me, the notion of dying and there being absolutely nothing but darkness and a void after death scared the living shit out of me way more than the notion of me burning in hell for eternity, which is really funny to think about, you know? And so from that point on, I'll also say that at 13, you know, I was a pretty shitty teenager. I was going through a lot at that age. I was going through a lot of really fucked up stuff at the age of 13. Ooh, it's so windy. Y'all forgive this wind. It's just, I'm out in nature, you know, this energy. It's just, anyways. And so from that was basically it. I was an agnostic. I didn't really care for religion for my teen years. And then I turned 17. And what I'll say is that at the age of 17, that's when I woke up for the first time. That's when I seriously had my first dose of true, holy shit, spirituality and all that stuff. So my spiritual awakening, no joke, was triggered by a UFO experience, which if you follow me from TikTok, you've probably already seen my video on my UFO experience. If you haven't, go check it out. But yeah, essentially I was out with my dad, and we both saw a UFO. We caught it on camera, and then the footage that we got on camera was wiped from our phones. At that point on, from that night that happened, that was when I realized that we are in fact not alone in this universe, and that I know absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so that UFO experience basically triggered a snowball effect of me falling down the rabbit hole of spiritual downloads and trying to figure out like what the truth of the nature of our universe is. All of that stemmed from that one single night. And then I tried psychedelics. And Mom, if you're watching this right now, I'm sorry for talking about this on the internet, but it's a valid part of my story that I feel like some people might be able to relate to or benefit from hearing, so that's why I'm sharing it. Disclaimer, this is a public service announcement. If you are thinking of or considering dabbling in the chemicals that cause psychedelic reactions in your brain chemistry, I would advise against doing it unless you absolutely 100% are well-researched, know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where it's coming from, because the risks heavily outweigh the benefits unless you really, 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 really know what you're doing. So I don't condone, I don't recommend it, I don't suggest it. However, if you're gonna do it, then do it responsibly. That's all I'm gonna say, because psychedelics used right can really essentially become a great spiritual tool that can unlock a lot of doors into understanding the true interconnectedness of our world and universe, but done wrong and it becomes a hellish nightmare, and I just wouldn't want anyone to go through that. So don't, but if you do it right. Anyways, that's not what this video is about. I dabbled in psychedelics and I saw too much. That's essentially what I was trying to say. I saw too much. I went too far. What I saw was yeah, and so from that point on, I fell off the wagon. I stopped. I full stop. I said, nope, I'm done. I'm not going to explore my consciousness. I'm not going to think about consciousness. I'm not going to even say the word the universe anymore from that point on. I am just going to let it be. And so what I did was I went back to sleep for a few years. And that's actually extremely common for a lot of people. When a lot of people first wake up, you'll have this moment of super interconnectedness, oneness with the universe, where you just feel so on point and in alignment with everything. And then all of a sudden, you know, something will happen and you'll fall off the horse, and that's okay. If you go back to, you know, if you were like a raw vegan with your little crystals and you could like levitate and shit, and now you're like, you know, eating hot dogs from the gas station again. It's fine. It's fine. It happens. It's normal. So for me, I woke up, I went back to sleep, took a little 2-year nap from all spiritual practices. And then the year 2020 happened. I feel like the year 2020 doesn't really need any further explaining, except to say that 2020 has been a massive awakening for everyone on the planet, because 2020 has been insanely traumatic. And on the note of trauma, I do have a very strong opinion about trauma, which is that we as human beings, when we come to this planet, we essentially completely forget who we are. We come in as little babies with no memory, no knowledge. We have no idea who or what we are or what our purpose is. When we come to the planet, we essentially are indoctrinated into a big dream. How do you wake up from that dream? I, personally speaking from my own experience, I will say that trauma is what woke me up. To me, trauma is sort of like that scene in Inception where he's falling backwards into the tub. The kick, it shocks you awake. It's like getting into a tub of ice water, right? You're not going to be asleep after you get into a tub of ice water. You're going to be wide awake. And that's what it takes. Essentially, you have to overcome a massive challenge in order to realize and search within your soul for deeper meaning in this world. If your life is cushy and cozy and you've never had to struggle for anything, you've never had to overcome anything, chances are you're not awake. Chances are you're still asleep. The lens through which people view their traumatic experiences drastically affects their ability to either wake up, overcome it and wake up and realize that it happened for a purpose, or continue to sleep and, let their trauma eat them and define them and then never progress past that point. For me, when I was 17, when I first woke up, that was also the most traumatic year of my life. I had several failed suicide attempts that year. I was abusing drugs, I was abusing sex. I was living through hell, literal hell that year. I was abusing myself to cope with all of the abuse that I was experiencing from multiple fronts in my world. But that year is also the year that I woke up. And I don't think, had I not overcome what I overcame that year, I don't think I would be where I am now. It didn't happen to strengthen me. It happened to give me depth within my soul. Because in order to go high, you have to start at a low point. That's high implies low, right? Light implies dark. The two can't coexist without each other. And that's why I'm not gonna say trauma is necessary. I would love to see a world without trauma, but I do think that it does serve a purpose for the evolution of our souls and our ability as human beings to wake up inside of the game of life. So 2020 happened. Now I'm here. Now I am wide awake. I'm on a journey. I'm on a mission. I am more in tune with my soul purpose now than I ever was before. And if I can, you can be as well. It starts within. Every answer that you will ever seek about this world and about this universe lies within you. I know a lot of people say that, and it sounds kind of cheesy and kind of, like, what's the word? I don't know, I can't even think of the word, but it's the truth. So I guess what I'm learning now, more and more now than ever, is just to be able to look inside of myself. And that is where the truth of my own spiritual journey is in this current moment. So I can't wait until I get to make a 1-year update video to this, because what I'll say is that this year of 2020 has been nothing but upheavals of my entire life. Life as I knew it is completely, as we all knew it, not just for me, but for everyone. It's completely 180. We're in a completely different planet now, and for as scary as it is, it's necessary, and it will be a beautiful thing in the end. It's not so beautiful right now, not so hot right now, not with this election coming up, not with this virus taking over the world, but one day we'll be able to look back on these times. So that's my spiritual journey. I hope that if there were any aspects of this that you can relate to or that you kind of saw yourself in, let me know. I obviously am brand new to making videos, so please let me know if there's any content that you'd like for me to tackle and talk about more on this channel. Give me some ideas, you know. But if you haven't already, if you're still watching and you haven't, please subscribe. I will try to have as many videos as possible as frequently as I feel like making them. So that being said, I love you guys. Thank you for being a part of my journey, for listening to me, meeting me through your phone screen. Hey, I see you. I'm looking at you. Thank you. I love you. And I hope that you're doing well and that all of your needs are met. And I'm sending you so much love and good energy and positivity. Peace and blessings to you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay blessed, my friend.